Hello and welcome to episode 37 of Sights on Sinnoh. Here we are on our path to Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, covering the adventures of our heroes, Ash, Dawn, and Brock, as they travel through the Sinnoh region. And this week we have one of our rotating co-hosts, Mannie, back with us. How's it going?
Pretty good, Will. Pretty good. I will have to admit that this week for me has been a bag of mixed emotions. Starting with me watching the episode 74 and 75 of Pokemon Journeys, which was just amazing.
Ooh, okay.
There's this amazing battle sequence in episode 75 that I thought was just they knocked it out of the park. If you're not worried about spoilers, well, I'll send you the video just to see it because the animation and the sequence in that that battle was just like top notch. I think like Journeys is really like bringing out like every bag or trick in their bag. So yeah, I started hyped, and then I started watching season 2 of Diamond and Pearl, and the first 2 episodes just broke me. They
Oh,
just broke me. I cried during the Chimchar moment. I cried during the James and Cacnea episode. I was just like, no, why are they doing this? Like, why? Like back to back, back to back.
yeah.
They didn't let me rest at all, back to back. And then I was still feeling it, just like James in the couple of episodes. And we get to this episode, and you know what? I'm burning up now. So I'm pump up. I'm pump up now because of this episode.
Yeah, I was gonna say it really does an interesting job to take you through a range of emotions in just these first few episodes here. And um, I also can relate to that for sure, especially for this first episode, which is episode 6 of Battle Dimension, titled Nosing Around the Mountain." Uh, they do that little apostrophe thing in front of the R. And the synopsis here is basically Ash and Turtwig are fighting a trainer named Alan, who is using a nose pass. And in the middle of this battle, they both they both, like Manny was saying, are like getting pumped up and kind of challenging each other to do this while battling on Mount Cornet. And as Turtwig tries to kind of move the battle in this weird dynamic where they're like, hey, we're so pumped up, let's like start running as we battle. Alan interrupts and says, hey, let's not do that as they get to the edge of Mount Cornet. Because I almost said Snowpass. Nosepass can only evolve here on Mount Cornet. And this is where we discover an in-game mechanic of Nosepass only evolving while leveling up on Mount Cornet. Which it soon does, evolving into the Rock and Steel type Probopass before being kidnapped by Team Rocket.
Yeah, we are introduced to Alan, not to be confused with Alan from XY the series, and I was super hyped when I heard Alan scream because the minute I heard that scream, I said to myself, "That scream sounds familiar."
Oh,
Let me keep hearing his voice because I think I know who this is, and I was right. I didn't even have to look it up. I looked it up like right after episode just to prove that I was right. But this is the legendary Sean Schimmel, who many of you know as the Saiyan warrior Son Goku.
what?
Yeah, this is Goku's voice actor. The minute you hear him scream, you can definitely hear that
Oh my
famous scream that
gosh.
Goku has when he powers up. I was like, oh my god, this is so cool because I think he was part of the 4 Kids network. It was cool to see them bring him in. So yeah, that definitely makes Alan one of my most highly esteemed characters that have shown up in these first 6 episodes so far.
That's hilarious. Oh my gosh. I had no clue, but now that you pointed out, it makes a lot of sense, especially with how this character is depicted.
Yeah, so they definitely knew what they were doing when picking him for this specific character.
Okay, this makes me a little more forgiving of this episode because to me it felt like it was very rushed in a lot of ways. But now that it seems like it's a a subtle Dragon Ball Pokemon crossover,
Yeah, you could say, yeah.
I definitely am more open to how they show and execute this episode.
Yeah, definitely. And his Japanese voice actor does a good job too of showing off that like hyperactiveness of the character who in the sub is named Atsuo. So yeah, they both definitely both Sean Schimmel and the Japanese voice actor did a really good job showing off his enthusiasm, his fighting spirit, and just like how determined he is.
Yes, that is the biggest personality trait that he has for sure. And as a trainer, it does seem a little weird that Nose Pass is his Pokemon. Just in
Yeah, it
terms of
does, right?
personality. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which I guess it's like a yin and yang thing, I guess we could say, because he's very loud and he's very boisterous and he's kind of like a firecracker, and then you have
Mm-hmm.
Nosepass that's like calm and cool and collected. And it was really cool to find out that Nosepass needs to be on Mount Coronet to evolve. So since I haven't played the games, do they tell you this, or is it something that you gonna have to figure out on your own?
That's a good question. I feel like at some point there's probably an NPC that tells you. Um, but I always found that really cool. Though I don't think Nose Pass is the easiest to get, at least in Diamond and Pearl. It might be easier in Platinum.
Right?
Um, but I never did all of the Mount Cornet evolutions. Actually, I've been meaning to do that, but I definitely feel like that's a really cool way of explaining why these Pokemon that we've seen in past regions have never evolved into the forms that we see now in Gen 4.
Yeah, yeah. Because for me, I didn't know how to get Leafeon and Glaceon in Sun and Moon.
Mm,
So
mhm.
I had to look that up. I at first thought it was like a specific stone they needed, but I think in Sun and Moon you have to go to like what was it? I think there was like a mossy like pillar that you go to get Leafeon, like your Eevee to evolve into Leafeon.
Yeah, I actually
So
don't know about what they do in Alola, but that sounds about
yeah,
right. In
yeah.
Sinnoh, there's a mossy rock and an icy rock.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so because I was asking about Nosepass because I don't remember ever talking to like an NPC that gave you like a hint or a clue about how to evolve. They probably did.
Oh.
They
Mhm.
probably did. I just don't remember. If they did. So if any of our listeners know this and let us know. But yeah, I personally do not remember like there being a clue of like, oh, go this certain location to evolve your Eevee into a Leafeon or to a Glaceon. And I remember
Mhm.
I had to look that up, do that.
Yeah, I feel like especially in these games, they kind of show you a bit, and then I remember in Gen 5, I just like happened to find the icy rock and think, oh, that's where I evolve Eevee for like later in the game when they get Eevee, I guess. But if I hadn't played, I would have no idea that's what it was for.
So we hear that a specific condition, Nosepass needs to be on Mount Coronet to evolve, and I think this is also Ash's introduction to this specific what would you call this requirement? There we
Evolutionary
go.
condition.
Yeah, evolutionary condition, which is really cool that
Hmm.
they actually did that, because sometimes the anime will kind of not stray from evolution conditions.
Right.
It was really cool to get this like exposition, and then Ash still being fired up is like, okay, well then let's keep going. Like, we'll help you out.
Yeah, even Brock was like, it's weird that you don't want to move from Mount Cornet. Like, you should be an adaptable trainer. But then he
Yeah,
explains,
like,
no, it's not like that.
yes, that's true. Goku never backs down from a fight, Brock.
Yeah.
So it
Don't
wasn't
get
that
the
he
wrong
didn't.
idea.
Yeah, it wasn't that he didn't want to adjust. It was just like he needs to specifically be there to evolve his nose pass.
Exactly, yeah. And I think that's neat. Like, especially for kids who maybe don't know and are watching, they can figure that out. Like, oh, that's how I'm supposed to do it then.
This is kind of like a strategy guide without having to look up the strategy guide.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it was definitely like a good tip to give to like trainers watching this, that
Right.
when they got their game, like they kind of knew, okay, I need to go on Coronet and evolve my nose pass. But you said it was
Exactly.
like it was rare to find, right?
Yeah, as far as I recall, Nosepass isn't super common. Even in like Gen 3, I feel like it was hard to get. Even though that was like the debut generation for this Pokemon. Looking up its location, it's available on Route 206 in Diamond and Pearl, and in Platinum, it's only available in Mount Cornet itself. But because Mount Cornet has a ton of different floors, it can vary in terms of what point in the game you can get it. Like, yeah, for Diamond and Pearl, you can only get Nosepass in swarms, as far as I can tell. So that's not something until that happens until after you beat the game. Yeah, so not super strong of an accessible Pokemon. Probably the reason a lot of Pokemon or a lot of people don't find it. But then in Platinum, it's available with a 25% encounter rate in on the second floor of Mount Cornet.
Okay, that's good to know. So
Mm-hmm.
but what do you think in terms of the remakes that they'll do for
God, I
Nosepass?
really hope they do Platinums because Diamond and Pearl has really weird choices and limits of when you can get Pokemon. Like, you can't get Eevee until you beat the main game.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and there's just so many improvements in terms of what Pokemon are available in there that like Emerald did some of, but like Platinum really went all in and like, okay, let's just make it like not a chore to get these Pokemon.
And the Eevee, is it like in the current game where like when you start the Isle of Armor, every Pokemon is the exact same level as your current roster team Pokemon, or is it
No,
like a lower level Eevee?
the Eevee you get, I think, is like level 5.
Oh, you're gifted it or you catch
Yeah.
it?
You're gifted it.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say,
No, 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 no.
yeah, going through the
Um,
hassle of like finding the Pokemon you just caught and didn't even bother to use to get
oh
a
yeah.
level 5 Eevee just so you wanna paint it with your champion Pokemon.
Oh no, no. Thankfully, no.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
I think there is one other way. Yeah, there's one other way of getting Eevee, and it's in it's a real. Well, actually, I won't spoil it for you because it's related to the next episode. Um, but let's finish up wrap talking about this one here since we've gone like halfway on our
Yeah.
time for this episode. But I will. This is also my take. I think the whole evolutionary explanation here for Nosepass is the strongest part of the episode for me.
Really?
Yeah, I do like how Team Rocket seems kind of competent here,
Mhm.
and and like is able to control Probopass using this advanced radio technology, and kind of implies that its connection to electromagnetic waves makes it vulnerable to that. Our heroes don't really step up to that level of competence, and it makes it feel almost like they're just getting lucky in how they're approaching the problem here. And it just kind of falls apart for me at that point, because like if you're going to elevate Team Rocket this way, our heroes, in my opinion, should be able to elevate themselves as well to be that intelligent.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I guess it was just me pretty much being biased because Goku is in this episode. So I feel like
Fair.
that was the reason why I enjoyed it so much. Like every part of it, I enjoyed. There wasn't, except for Probopass, but we'll get to that. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like I feel like okay, if you would have known that this was Goku, do you feel like there would have been a bit more bias in your opinion as well, or do you still think you would have felt the way you do about this episode?
Um, I think it makes me appreciate Alan a bit more, but Alan wasn't the biggest problem for me. It was all our other regular main characters.
Okay.
So I don't think it would have made a bigger difference. Like maybe at the end, I'm gonna give it like 0.5 more because I understand what's going on behind the scenes. But in terms of the rest, the core of the story, and like following all these characters, it doesn't have a huge impact on that. Like there's a scene where Alan is riding Probopass and he's asking Ash and Dawn to shock him so they can try to get the helmet off Probopass. And like I kind of get what they're going for there, and showing like this character is similar to Goku in terms of sheer determination and ability to do what's right for his friends. But that plan also is not very strongly explained. So the foundation of it kind of falls flat for me.
Yeah, I can see that point, but I feel like we've seen that with Ash as well. He just goes out of his way uh, and throws caution to the wind, doesn't care about getting hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Except for that one Manectric episode where he was just like, "No, get
Yeah.
away from me." Well, yeah. I will say, even watching the sub version, I still enjoyed the episode. So I feel like it wasn't just the fact that Goku's voice actor was in the episode that made me enjoy it. I
Mm-hmm.
think for me overall, I definitely did enjoy it, and it does have like its moments of like you said, like the character's not really incompetent. But I think it was funny overall because after it evolves to Overpass, Team Rocket comes in, they catch it, and it attacks, take it away, and you see Team Rocket making James making more of the helmets while Jesse's just lounging around, and Meowth is making the controls. And there's this part where Meowth motivates James, and so he starts humming "She'll Be Coming Around the Mountain," but with but I forgot what phrase he uses. He does something with the antenna, but it like goes super fast that it was just like, okay, like that was just random. So yeah, I definitely didn't like that part of it, but I did like that the fact that like Meowth wanted to use that specific Probopass as a kind of like a garden pot for Giovanni's roses and flowers. That was pretty. That was pretty funny, and the visual of Team Rocket with their army of Nosepass and Probopass was pretty cool to see too.
Yeah, that part was kind of interesting. Like Probopass as a concept to be weaponized is actually pretty cool.
Mhm.
The thing about it is there's just so many moments where our heroes kind of do what they usually do in terms of attacking Team Rocket, and Team Rocket like inexplicably has the best reaction time ever. Like when Ash is trying to get this control, Jesse sends out Dustox and blows him away. On the beach when Pikachu tries to shock Team Rocket, Meowth shoots a rocket launcher net at them and it just traps them in there. And
Yeah,
I'm
and
just
then
huh?
there's a moment where Jesse's Dustox literally feints Buizel with the side beam.
Oh, it confuses it actually.
I was confused because I usually like they do those squiggly eyes, which
Right.
indicates that it's fainted. I thought it fainted, but then when Wobbuffet came, like, when it came back to consciousness, yeah, they were definitely like one step ahead of them in
Mm-hmm.
this episode.
Yeah, and that in itself isn't bad. It's just that it kind of comes out of nowhere. And it's weird that they're trying to do this at the same time that they have uh Pokemon's version of Goku also in this episode. And they like don't really confront each other in a direct way, which is kind of weird. Um it's still in the end of the day at the end of the day is kind of more like our main heroes versus Team Rocket, and then Alan is kind of along for the ride trying to help Probopass. And like if you're gonna use the character and you're going to set up Team Rocket to be an actual challenge, I would have found it a lot more satisfying in a narrative way if they were actually directly against each other.
Yeah, I feel like Alan probably should have had a hard time with them because
Mm-hmm.
he doesn't know who they are,
Mm.
whereas the other three kind of know by now after
Right.
many seasons. I mean, how many episodes? But
This is in the long uh scheme of things. This is episode 524.
yeah, but for me, I do like it when they kind of switch that up because
Mm-hmm.
it's taking you out of the norm, like the routine that you're used to. Like, oh, Team Rocket's here. They're gonna try to take Pikachu, but they're gonna fail. Whereas in this, they were like a step ahead of them so many times, and it took Nosepass and Buizel to kind of distract them for them to finally get an edge on Team Rocket.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, for me, I like when they do that, and one of my favorite moments was in Sun and Moon, a specific Team Rocket moment. I don't know if you've seen that episode
I'm not sure which one.
where they finally beat Ash after all these years.
Oh.
Like for me, that was like a jaw dropper. I was like, "Whoa, what am I witnessing right now?" So yeah, I've said it before. You know, I'm a huge Team Rocket fan, just
Mm-hmm.
because of the episodes back in the Indigo League where kind of humanize them and show you their personality. And it's episode 2 of season 2 of this Battle Dimensions, right?
Uh
Season.
yes, with
Yeah,
Cacnea.
episode 2. Yeah, once again you see like James being humanized.
Mm-hmm.
Um, for me, they always have like a special place in my heart, and I always like Team Rocket segments or specific episodes focused on them. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely for me. It's kind of like a moral victory when they kind of beat Ash.
Huh.
So
Like yeah, I see that. Though for me I think it's almost more satisfying when Team Rocket is good and they win and don't know how to feel about it. It's like that's the part that I think humanizes them the most. And then this, it's cool to see them be an actual threat, but it's weirdly like rushed to undo this like status quo change almost.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I think it was just the studio just wanting to kind of like mix things up a bit, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Though I liked it more than than Alan and Ash just kind of yelling at each other.
Don't tell me you didn't like that. Come
Okay, I
on,
like it
bro.
slightly more because now I know that it's Goku.
Well,
But
there goes my segment of making a screen to burn each other up.
oh my gosh,
That segment is
no.
out the window now. Yeah, I will say about that.
Mhm.
I feel like Alan's came off naturally, his scream, because it
Mm.
starts off low and it
Mhm.
comes. Well, obviously it's natural because he's been doing it for years. You know, like the
Yes.
when he goes
Mhm.
Super Saiyan and all this and that. Whereas Ash just came off annoying to me. Like, oh my
Yeah.
god.
Ash,
Yeah,
like,
I
I
said it
can't
before.
blame him, but
Yeah,
yeah, definitely. That's I think the part that bothered me specifically.
yeah, I said before that the reason I stopped watching was because of the voice actors, and this just proved my case. So
I don't. I don't know even if I blame the voice actors because like this is very clearly Alan's voice actor is a male, and both times Ash has been voiced by a woman. I don't think either of them could necessarily match him in that capacity
I,
against Goku specifically.
I feel like his original VA could have kept up. She I feel like when they made the changes in voice actors, they wanted to keep it the same. Like, oh, you need to sound like specific
Mhm.
actors. So I think that's why there's like a disconnect for me.
Mm.
Because you know how like James had like a very fancy manner of talking, and with this one it just sounds like a fake in British
I don't.
accent.
I don't
Um,
know. I mean, I've seen some episodes recently replayed of the Advanced series,
mhm.
and now those kind of sound dated to me. And I don't know if it's just like the audio quality or because I like know how the new voice actors portray
Yeah,
them.
it's probably that. Like where you're accustomed to the
Mm-hmm.
way they sound. Yeah, because even like to me, Piplup will always be Piplup because of its voice actor.
Mm-hmm.
Like to me, like I know what Piplup sounds like. Whereas I feel like if I went back to Advanced Battle and I heard Cacnea, I'd
Mm.
probably be like, "Oh, is that what it sounded like before the change?"
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so Viper as well. To me, so Viper's current voice actor in this Diamond and Pearl series will always be the Viper. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like if I went back, I'd probably be like, I'd probably prefer this current iteration than
Right.
the old ones. Yeah, so I think it's just us being accustomed to it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, because like I said, I noticed right off the bat that this was Goku because I'm accustomed to his voice. But yeah, one thing that for me was a debut that I don't think I've ever seen at all, even in the games, was Magnet Bomb.
Oh,
Um,
right.
yeah, so for me that was really cool to see. I honestly didn't know this was a move that existed.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then also when I saw Zap Cannon, I thought they had probably misworded it because it reminds me so much about Energy Ball. Like they just have like
Mm.
the same color
Right.
aesthetic. I was like, did they get this wrong? Um, but because in the game it doesn't look like that, right? Zap Cannon?
Uh, I think it looks pretty similar.
Oh, does it? Okay, then I was probably yeah. Oh, okay. I got it confused with Sonic Boom. Yeah,
Oh, that might be it.
because I
Yeah.
was like, yeah, it looks like a specific. But yeah, definitely Magnet Bomb. This was my first time witnessing this attack,
Mm-hmm.
which we see Alan use on Team Rocket. So if you know anything about this specific type of attack, feel
Sure.
free to let me know. Like a
Magnet
spell.
Bomb actually inflicts damage and bypasses accuracy checks to always hit.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah, so it's kind of like Swift for steel types, but it is not effective against targets that have the ability Bulletproof.
So if it bypasses, so if like a trainer were to use Sand Attack on my Pokemon, that wouldn't affect it.
Correct. Yes, it has
Oh, okay.
perfect accuracy every
Oh,
time.
that's cool. That's cool to know.
Yeah.
I'll keep an eye on that
Yeah, it's
move.
only 60 power, but it's a decent
Okay.
steel type move. I
Is it still
Hmm?
active in this current gen, like Gen 8 move?
I think so. Yeah. Oh wait, actually, I don't think it is. I think
Oh,
it
it's not.
ended in Gen 7.
Oh man, I'm too late then.
Yeah,
Oh,
unless it
well,
comes back,
yeah, unless it comes back, right? Okay,
because
there's hope.
it debuted in Diamond and Pearl. So,
Okay, so
uh,
if it comes back, then that confirms that we're getting a third DLC, so they can bring
oh
back Metal
no.
Bomb.
And do
Okay.
you want to guess? There's literally only 5 Pokemon that can learn this move
Magnet Bomb.
by leveling up. Yeah.
Mm, obviously Probopass, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise they
That's
wouldn't.
one.
I'm gonna say Helix.
No.
No, okay. Aggron.
No.
Jeez. Metagross.
No, it's really obvious. Think of the name. Think of the name.
Magnezone.
Yes.
Okay. Uh, you said there's more, right? Is it just the whole line? Like
The whole
Magnemite,
line for Magnezone? Yeah.
Okay. You said how many? 5, right?
Yeah, so that's 4.
4. So Nosepass?
No, actually.
Mm,
It's a mythical.
oh, jeez, I don't know any of the Diamond and Pearl mythicals.
That's fine. It is
Is
Gen
it one of
5,
the...
actually.
Oh, Gen 5. Okay. Is it one of the swords?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, just tell me. I'm
Sure,
probably
it
not
is
gonna get it.
Genesect.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Right, it's all Pokemon that have to do with like electricity and metal, basically.
Mhm.
And that's literally it. So that's why they got rid of it, probably.
Yeah.
So it's definitely not a very popular move, but I think it's kind of neat. My imagination is that it would use its little nose thingies to like throw them at its target, and that would be the magnet bomb. So I was kind of surprised when it made it more like an energy field that it threw at Team Rocket. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this episode. Like,
Yes.
it kind of starts where it begins, or
Yeah.
ends where it begins.
Yeah, and Dawn comes in with like they're really turning it the heat up puns, which I thought were pretty subpar. But
Dawn does not get a lot of time here, unfortunately.
no, definitely not in this episode.
But just like, all right, it's the Goku episode. I'll give it to you. But what would you rate this episode, Nosing Round the Mountain?
Well, I mean, I came in with a very, very high up-notch rating, but then you kind of like brought it down for me, so thanks a lot. Well, no, I'm kidding. I definitely give it an 8. Like I said, I definitely enjoyed this. Yeah,
Okay.
I really enjoyed this episode. Probably mainly because, no, not really. I mean, the fact that Goku was here added to it, but me, it was, I think, just the energy of Alan, the character. Definitely like got me pumped up because it wasn't something I was expecting to see. I think because this character just was introduced, so I think most of the time some characters are more like calm and collected, or like the little annoying Joy Page. I think that was her name, right?
Oh, we'll get there. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I in terms of character, I definitely liked personality, and I like that he was determined to train with his Nosepass to get it up to a Probopass.
Yeah.
That their goal of winning the Sinnoh League be accomplished. But I don't know if it's just me,
Mhm.
But I've noticed that a lot of new characters feel more like they belong in different anime.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I'll give you an example. Like the engineer, I think he belonged in a different from the B barrel episode, just because his head was like super soup shaped. And
Oh,
it's
his
yeah,
like.
it's like yeah, it's not something we're used to in the Pokemon, or at least me. Not used to. And then there was the old lady in the Spiritomb episode. I mean, she kind of reminded me of like a character you would see in a Studio Ghibli film.
Mm-hmm.
Especially because the way she was like exaggerating, like when she would open her mouth, like you would just see like two teeth.
Yeah.
Definitely gave me like those vibes. And then with Alan as well, like he felt like he was the main character of like a different type of shonen, kind of like you would see him like maybe in a Beyblade type of universe,
Mm.
or something kind of to do with that. So I don't know if it was like intentional for them to like pay homages to different types of anime. But for me, I
Right.
felt like they were bringing inspiration from different types of anime.
Yeah, I that's an interesting observation. I think that's actually really cool now that you pointed out because there's so many episodes that I can think of in past seasons where they just use like generic models for
Mhm.
characters,
Yeah.
and that just makes them so much more forgettable. But with these episodes, even though they're not technically like main story progression things, the characters and the tone do add a lot in shaping the identity of each of these. I
Mhm.
started with Gen 3, and very few Johto Pokemon were in that game,
Mhm.
just in comparison.
Yeah.
But when I get to Sinnoh and like I see these Pokemon again, I'm like, well, I know they aren't very good and they're not like interesting, but then learning about their evolutions to me made me so much more curious and motivated to catch them and train them and like see how they interact with everything that there is here, and even really give them a second chance in many ways. Like with Rosalia, especially, is one that comes to mind, getting a baby and then a next evolution with the Roserade. Um, like nose pass, like I would just be like, yeah, whatever. Like if when playing Gen 3, but like understand like, oh no, there's more to this Pokemon that's new in this game and gives you a reason to try and use it again, was something that I really liked about it. And probably also the like I mentioned before, still one of my favorite parts of this episode. But understanding now the production side of things and how Goku's voice actor is representing Alan and Goku in spirit here, I think I would rate this episode a 6 out of 10.
That's fair. And I definitely uh, understood your point of liking those evolutions. I think that's one of the good things about having a fandom when it comes to like these types of like Pokemon, Digimon, Yu-Gi-Oh.
Right.
Everyone has their like their different points of view, and I feel like if you actually take the time to listen to someone instead of just bashing them, being like, "Oh no, your opinion is dumb," and just taking the time to actually listen, like you kind of see the perspective and understand more as to why certain things are for certain fans, like me not being a fan of the evolutions, but you being a fan of those evolutions, and kind of like seeing each other's point of view. I think that it's what makes Pokemon one of like such a great franchise, because there's so many different opinions, although sometimes they can be negative. When it comes to the positive ones, I think is just what makes us as a fan of this franchise even bigger fans.
Right. And like something to keep in mind, people who don't like those evolutions don't even have to evolve them really. Like
Yeah,
that's
that's
kind of
true.
the neat thing about the Sinnoh evolutions is that they only evolve if they learn a certain move or use a certain item or evolve them in a specific location, like with Probopass today. So it's all up to preference for sure. But
definitely. Yeah, if they're like the type that don't really want to complete the entire decks, there's those people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so yeah, there's definitely it's not like a necessity to evolve those Pokemon if you don't want to.
Exactly. And kind of speaking of connections to the past with Pokemon, moving here into Sinnoh, this leads us to our next episode titled Luxray Vision. The blurb here is hoping to find a place to stay for the night. Our heroes visit an imposing manor where instead they're almost mistaken for thieves by Marble, a self-proclaimed super duper ace detective who's also Professor Jenny's student. Matthew, the manor's owner, received word that the Bandit Beauties 3 were coming to steal his treasure, and Marble promised to stop them. Despite her promise, she's secretly worried that her Luxray, who hasn't obeyed her ever since it evolved, is not going to listen to her as we see this episode play out. So, there's a lot to say about this as someone who's played the game. But I'm going to let you start and kind of get your thoughts of what happens here as our heroes walk up to the door and are just like bombarded by floodlights.
Yes. So before we start, I'm gonna correct you. It's not Professor Jenny. It's Officer Jenny.
Oh, excuse me.
Come
There's a
on,
professor.
Come on, Will. They're all
Look,
officers. Marble
makes her look like a professor. Let's be real.
Yeah. So yeah, it starts off them thinking they're lost because they feel like I think they've been walking for a long time, and Brock telling them, "Oh no, they're like the town is just up ahead."
Yes, and then they get there and they're like, Brock.
They run into this big old mansion, and I was like, "Oh my god, please don't let it be Malice in Wonderland Part 2, please no." Oh, I was like, "No, I know mansions, I know what's gonna happen." But no, we get introduced to this character, and for the life of me, Will, I saw this character. I said, she looks familiar.
Oh, why? Man.
Does she look familiar? Where have I seen her before? That hair.
Yes. I had that same thought in the cold open.
Yeah, I was like, no, I didn't see her in the cold open. I think I was looking more at the Luxray parts.
Oh, okay.
I didn't notice her there. I did notice. I did notice her. Because I liked her outfit. I thought the Luxray was pretty cool. But when we finally see her, I'm like, why does she look familiar? Like, it was on the tip of my tongue. Like, why does she look familiar? Like, did I see her in Johto? Did I see her? Like, is she like a side character from Pokemon Chronicles? Like, why? And we come to find out that this is Marble, who is a ace detective in her mind, and she is Officer Jenny's student, and it clicked. And I was like, oh, he's cosplaying as Officer Jenny. Yeah. I felt so dumb, Will, because I was like, I know the answer. Why does she look familiar? Yeah, to find out that she kind of she was Rock Lee before Rock Lee was even introduced. She designed her hair just like Officer Jenny's, just like Rock Lee does it, just like Guy Sensei. So the fact that answer was solved, I was like, oh, okay. So she's a protege of Officer Jenny, so she wants to be a Jenny. So I mean, I think that's interesting, and it makes me wonder, like, are there officers that aren't named Jenny now? Is that like canon now that there's might be officers like Marble that are paying homage to the Jennies?
Yeah, like at this point, all the Jennies and all the Joys have their own like interconnected families, and then there's this person who just straight up named Marble, and we also got this in the Nurse Joy episode where she has 2 daughters that aren't named Joy. So maybe Jenny is like a title.
No, because their last names were Joy.
Right. With Joy, I was gonna
Yeah,
say like that makes sense. That's a last
that's where we
name.
thought that maybe the father married into the family, which is I think is common in Japanese culture. I think in
Mhm.
Asian culture as a whole. So that kind of makes sense now because it just dawned on me like at this very moment. So yeah, I guess we can assume there might be some people.
Yeah. What did you think about
But
Luxray? Since you mentioned that it was the thing that you focused on in the cold open.
oh, definitely. Luxray is one of those Pokemon that if you ask me, what's your favorite Pokemon, depending on the day, Luxray would definitely be an option.
What? Even though you
Yeah, I'm
never
a huge
played Gen 4?
yeah because he it appears in Kalos as one of
Oh, true.
what's his name? I keep forgetting his name in English because I
Clement?
never watched it in English.
Clement?
Clements, yeah, one of his Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
So I think design wise, it's an amazing design. It reminds me of Raidramon from Digimon Adventure 2. Because they have the same color scheme, like black body, and then there's like blue on the face, the
Mm-hmm.
yellow accents. Um, but I can never make the connection that it's like a lion or a cat because its face reminds me of a baboon.
Mm.
I don't, yeah. But I think as a Pokemon, it's one of the best like designed Pokemon. It's not necessarily a Pokemon that I'd have on my team because there's just so many. For me, there's like so many cool designs, and when it comes to Pokemon, so like if I see like if I were to have Luxray on my team and I find something else, I'm like, oh, I'll probably swap it out just because of design wise. Um, one of my reasons why I'm such a huge fan of Pokemon, just so many designs when it comes to Pokemon. But I was definitely shocked to see that this Luxray didn't know any uh, thunder type attacks or electric type attacks. And
Right.
again, as someone who hasn't played the game, is this something that happens to a Luxray in the game?
Interesting question. This is completely original for the episode.
Oh, it is. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I think that would make sense because I caught a Shinx in the
Yeah.
armor, and it did no electric type attacks. I don't know why I
Yeah.
forgot. Okay, so yeah, because I was about to say, is it like does it need to be like a specific level to learn electric? Okay,
Mm.
so this is just anime exclusive that
Y-
this Luxray doesn't know any.
Right. It's very much just this Luxray, and that's I think the thing that frustrated me the most about this episode. They never explain why.
Yeah,
Like
yeah. hmm I was waiting
it's
on that.
like I'm like, is it a personality thing? Like we get Marble's side of it in how she is her relationship is kind of breaking down with Luxray because of it's like own frustration with its moves, but we
Yes.
never really get that like explanation. Like, wait, what happened to this Luxray?
Yeah, like I was definitely waiting. It kind of if well, I thought that maybe um it would give us like a backstory. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
why I was like, oh, okay, so I'm gonna ask because maybe it's something that has to do with the game as well. Um, yeah, this for some reason this Luxray up to it becoming a Luxray doesn't know any electric type attacks, but we never get the reasoning as to why. Whereas with Manectric, they kind of gave us the reason why it couldn't do that attack.
Right. With Manectric, it was just it's
Yeah,
too powerful and they can't control
yeah,
it. Here it's like the opposite, and it's just like it's just so random. We get flashbacks of them training, but it doesn't work, and then when they're trying to help Officer Jenny, it gets away, like a criminal gets away because of that. And that also brings me to my question. So we skipped over this, but this character is from Johto, specifically Mahogany Town,
Yeah.
and she just
Mahogany.
has a Luxray there.
Well, considering we didn't know there was a battle frontier in Pallet Town until the 3rd season,
That's yeah,
or
I
that
guess.
contests were a thing in Pallet Town.
Well,
Um,
the thing is, why do they make okay, there is one explanation, but it's totally not to do with the region. But like, it just seems weird to me that they would have to go like, we brought this officer from Mahogany Town, and she
You know
happens
what-
to have a Luxray.
you know what's even weirder?
Mm-hmm.
Is that Brock knew that Jenny was from Mahogany Town.
Right, he's the one who guesses, and Matthew's like, "How the heck do you know that?" And like,
Yeah.
we don't even see her until the end of the episode.
Yeah, like there wasn't even
A picture.
there wasn't like even like, oh, I went to Hoenn specifically
Oh well.
look for Officer Jenny, or did he say that? Something he allude to.
Oh, yeah. So what math? Okay, no, that's okay. That's even the weirdest part that we're like skipping over. Matthew reached out to this officer that's not even in his country.
That's right. He said he reached out and somehow Brock like 3 and 51 together and was like, oh, from Mahogany Town. He's
Yeah,
like, how did you know? Of all the towns, all the regions.
Right. And like, why did Matthew not just get local police? Like, what the heck?
Yeah, I mean,
it's like if I get a leather, and someone's gonna steal my like plush, my Pokemon plush, and I contact the police in Canada for help. Oh.
yeah. Yeah, so we have Matthew, who's voiced by another
Yes.
voice actor from 4Kids TV, and we've heard him lots of times in the Indigo Plateau and Johto. That voice actor has like voiced a lot of different characters in Pokemon, and he's in charge of the manor guarding.
Oh, it's his manor. He owns it, actually.
Oh, it's his manor. Oh, okay, he's guarding the what was it called? The old charm? Or
yes, the old charm.
Okay, yeah, and in Japanese, it's Japanese. Yeah, in Japanese, it was known as the ancient Omamori. I probably worded that wrong. Which means which is like a lucky charm that Japanese folks use. Yeah, it definitely translates to that. But I like the design of that thing. And is this also like an anime only item, or
what's your guess?
I think I've seen it, which is why I'm saying like, yeah, it's probably in the games.
Yeah, it is in the games.
It is in the games, right? Yeah, it's probably one of those items that I don't pay attention to a lot. Because
but it's only in Sinnoh.
Oh, it's only in Sinnoh. And how have I seen it before?
I have no clue. There's a lot of generic key items in Pokemon that.
So this is one of the key items. Is it just like that you just keep?
I'll explain as we get later on, because there's a lot of interesting things about these two episodes in terms of their connection to the games. Yeah, but okay, so this is the timeline of this episode. At least 2 weeks before our heroes get here. It has to be at least like 2 weeks, because the Team Rocket finds out that there's this treasure here called the Old Charm, assumes the identity of the Bandits BD3, sends a letter to Matthew telling them that they're going to steal it, and then he contacts someone from Mahogany Town, who ends up being Marble. Marble travels to this place from across the region, like not even the same region, and they get the stakeout ready to catch the Bandit Beauties 3. That means Team Rocket is traveling at least like 3 weeks ahead of where our heroes are sometimes, but can't find them.
Yeah, because they have, their hot air balloon as transportation.
That's
So
true.
I'm sure, like, they go from here to there. And in the Bandits Beauties 3, this is such a random name. I don't know why they changed it, because in the sub they're just known as the Three Beauties. So we also get introduced to what I think is Luxray's ability, right? Keen Eye.
Yeah, because
Which
it shows that Luxray can kind of see through walls, and that's also something that's in the Pokédex entries for the game. I don't think it has keen eye as an ability though.
I think that's what they said.
I think they might keen eye is a phrase.
It was probably the Dex entry, right? Because it's called the is it called the Gleam Eye Pokemon? So that's probably why I got it.
Yeah, that might be it.
Probably thought I heard Keen Eye instead of Gleam.
Right. It's a Gleam. So yeah, Gleam. Gleam Eyes Pokemon.
So it doesn't have like a specific ability that has to do with this way that Luxray can find the Pikachu. Is just a part of its Dex entry.
Correct. It can either have Rivalry or Intimidate, and then its hidden ability is Guts. And some of the in-game, like one of the in-game Pokédex entries from Diamond is it has eyes which can see through anything. It spots and captures prey hiding behind objects. But that whole thing has also frustrated me a bit, because they are so explicit with its ability to do that, yet there's no move that it can learn that puts that into practice, which I find really weird.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes you do those certain things.
Like, let me see if it, like, the only vision or like face related move that I can think of is that it learns Scary Face, which does not seem like a strong thing. Like, maybe if it learned Foresight?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
But it doesn't. It learns like baby doll eyes. As Shockwave, like, it's very odd that they make that a big part of its biology, but they don't do anything in game to really capitalize on it.
Yeah. Do you think, in terms of Luxray's character, the focus more on it not knowing electric type attacks took away from the fact that the episode was supposed to be based on its eyes? Even the title is Luxray Vision.
Yeah.
And then in the Japanese, it's called Luxray's Eye. The episode title.
That's a good point. I think it's very much unnecessary. I think they could have just made it about the relationship between the two, Marble and Luxray, and not have this extra thing about the electricity.
Okay. Yeah, because
there's so much more happening in this episode that, like, I guess they kind of stretch it a bit by saying, like, oh, she wishes she could, like, copy how Ash works with Pikachu because Pikachu's electric type moves work. But there can be stronger things here.
Yeah, but we see that this Luxray is like, it's not paying attention to her, and it's kind of like mean to Pikachu, and this being because it's mad at itself for not knowing electric type attacks.
Yes.
So for me, I feel like this was more of the main focus rather than title being like, hey, pay attention to its eyes. That's what this episode is going to be all about. Yeah, so you see, like this Luxray is very like Buizo. It's very prideful,
Mm-hmm.
but it kind of takes it in like a bad way. So I guess it's kind of like eating itself down, being like, man, how can I be a Luxray and not know
Yeah.
electric type attacks? And kind of like
And
rejecting and resenting Pikachu as well.
mm-hmm. I mean, the title is mostly in English, at least a pun,
Yeah.
because it's like X-ray vision, which they do show and is kind of helpful throughout the episode, but that's like the B or C plot compared to everything else that's going on.
Yeah, there's a lot in this episode.
Yeah, so to get back to the plot, um, they are staking out this place because they know the Beauty Bandits 3, aka Team Rocket, is going to come in and steal the old charm at exactly 8 o'clock. And Dawn and Brock and everyone kind of go back and forth on how, like, what the plan is going to be, because Team Rocket comes 10 minutes before 8 to like supposedly move it to a different spot before the thieves come. And then they're like, wait, what if it's actually the clock is wrong and it's 10 minutes back, so that they can still be honest, but they're actually tricking everyone else here about the old charm, which I thought was kind of a cool detail. And I'm trying to see if there's a specific book that's being referenced, but I couldn't find it.
I'm sure there are. So I have like two points,
Mm-hmm.
and the first one is just like not a big thing, which is trope of marble, being like every time someone suggests something, they're like, yeah, I was about to say that.
Mm-hmm.
But the second one, which was like really frustrated me, not in a bad way, but like, why can't you do this all the time? When Team Rocket comes in to take the charm, Don's like, wait a minute.
Uh-huh.
Oh, you guys aren't the bandits.
Mm-hmm.
And Brock being like, yeah, they probably turned like the clock around. Why are they never this suspicious of them every other single time? Like, come on, man. If you guys are this smart.
I think this time it's because they specifically have a leather and being like, we have to be on guard. But other times they're just more relaxed. I think that's might be the explanation.
Yeah, I mean, I did enjoy it. I thought it was like
Mm-hmm.
a very funny moment, but like the fan in me was like, why can't you guys be like this all the time? Come on.
Exactly. Yeah. There could be some consistency there for sure.
Yeah, like we go back to that episode where like Brock is like, how do they always do that? I'm like, come on, bro. But yeah, Team Rocket manages once again for the kids.
Mm-hmm.
But just as they're about to leave, Matthew walks in and asks, how's everything going? And they're like, oh, it's going good. Like, the guards that you specifically requested to take the charm are here. It's like, what do you mean?
Right.
And so that's when their plan fails, and they try to run away on the balloon. Ash brings out Staravia, and Meowth and company thinking like, nope, we got you this time. You're not gonna get us this time. Pushes a button, then to turbocharge to the, I'm assuming the right. Staravia misses, but they run into a pointy needle from, I'm assuming, one of the roofs of the mansion. And that was funny. I thought that was like a funny little moment. It was like, we got you this time, but like, nope.
Yeah.
That is
They
not
do it to
letting you
themselves.
escape. Yeah. So they crash and they escape, and we find out there's booby traps in this house.
Yeah, which I'm like, hold up, did you not think to mention this earlier? When you're trying to like arrange this whole operation to catch the thieves?
Mm-hmm.
But no, this is like the plot twist of the episode, basically, where they're like, "Oh yeah, this mansion has booby traps and a whole underground dungeon," and you're like, "Uh, okay then."
Yeah, and what's worse is he doesn't bother to give them a blueprint of the house.
You're right. He just gives them the entrance because
Yeah, and he's
they,
like, well,
yeah, they
go
get
on
to
your
where the
way.
balloon crashed, and he like says, "Oh hey, watch out! There's booby traps." Luxray uses its vision and accidentally scares Pikachu into standing on
Yeah.
one of the triggers, and tries to save it, which I thought was kind of cute.
Yeah, that was definitely like one of those like, oh, I messed up. But it was also like surprising to see like Luxray watching out for Pikachu and like a
Right.
couple of scene earlier it was like get away from me.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, to no avail, they both fall down,
And then
and that's
Ash
when
tries to jump after
Ash
that.
tries to jump after them, and they decide like, oh, we need to go get them, but there's too many booby traps, and that's when he conveniently says, oh, I know the entrance.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he decided he was gonna go with him, but Marble was like, "No, it's okay, we got this, or I got this." So he was
Mm-hmm.
like, "Okay," but
He's not
this is
convinced.
when, yeah, this is when him as a responsible adult should say like, "Oh, here's a map just in
Yeah.
case."
Like
But
something.
yeah,
Oh
like,
man.
oh,
So they head down there. Marble and Ash kind of have a heart to heart, which is, I think, the best part of Marble here because holy crap, she got so annoying. Like, like everything she was saying was literally like the same line repeated up until this point. So I'm like, good, just like make her a normal person for a minute.
yeah, I can see like why for you she felt like annoying because it's like, could you say
Hmm.
anything else? Could you? But I think that's
Was
just
she
like
different in the dub?
no, she was exactly the same.
Oh
It was always like, yeah, she
no!
was like, yes, that's what I was gonna say.
Oh man.
I feel like she's like remarkable judge. You know that I was always like remarkable. That's just like their thing, I guess, as their way of like saying like, oh, this character is funny. This is why you should enjoy this character. But
Mm.
she does come off more. Um,
Yeah.
can't find the word for
For me,
it.
it was irritating.
Okay. But for me, it's not irritating. She comes off
Mhm.
more. She brags more about herself in I feel like in the English version than in the Japanese version.
Ah,
In
okay.
the Japanese, she feels like she's just like a silly
Mm.
character. She's not as like
Arrogant?
arrogant. There you go. She's not
Okay.
as arrogant, but it's like in the Japanese, I actually do laugh at her when she does like, yeah,
I
that's what I was
see.
gonna say. Whereas in here, it was like, oh yeah, I was about to say that. Um,
Right.
yeah, we definitely have like that heart to heart with her, and Ash tells you, you know, like by being Luxray's friend, like have you tried doing that?
Yeah. And we're just
And
like,
it's like,
okay, Ash, what are you getting at here?
yeah, it leaves her thinking, and in the back, just Brock and Don just smile at each other, and is like they don't even say words, like
Hmm. Yeah,
so yeah,
they're just listening. We're just like, oh, okay.
yeah, and then we see Team Rocket out of nowhere they took out like three pickaxes
Right.
and started tunneling inside the dungeon.
Mhm.
Wonder how they do that. Like, how do they just pull stuff out of like nowhere?
Yeah, we'll never know. Um, but like it's kind of funny. Like, oh yeah, that makes sense. They're always digging, so this isn't out of character.
Yeah, which is like I think that's why there was like a nod to me. I was saying like this kind of work. I always enjoy this kind of work, like the digging.
Hmm.
Yeah, because I think it was just like a nod to like how back then they would always dig holes to trap Ash,
Right.
and then yeah. So that was like a funny Rocket moment. To get back to Pikachu and Luxray
Mhm.
going through the tunnels. Luxray using its eye. eyes. I said eyes to look for the paths. I think that's when they run into their trainers, right?
Yeah, so right before
Yeah,
that,
after a while.
Luxray falls into a trap,
Oh
and
yes.
Pikachu manages to
Yeah.
save it by biting its tail and then dragging the full weight of this lion
Yeah.
back to safety.
hmm Then there was another part where Pikachu stepped.
Mm-hmm.
These sharp needles were thrown out, kind of like Indiana Jones esque,
Mm-hmm.
and Luxray uses Iron Tail to knock them out. It was really
Yeah.
cool to see them cooperating.
Yeah, it was really nice. Like you don't need any narration and you can very clearly tell what's going on here.
Yeah. I feel like the anime always does a good job when it comes to Pokemon moments where
Mm-hmm.
you don't necessarily need subtitles to know what they're saying or what they're doing.
Right.
And this was one of those moments.
Yeah, and that's why there was this one episode of Sun and Moon that I couldn't finish watching because I was like, "Oh, cool! It's gonna be a Pokemon episode because Ash disappears." But
Mhm.
the whole time there's narration, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" Just you
What
gotta
episode was that?
chill. I think it was the one that happened at the same time as the Zeraora one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But that's what I kind of like about these older episodes is that they don't feel the need to explain it. Like they have confidence in the viewer to understand what's going on.
Did you like the Hidden in Stoutland one?
I think so. I can't remember that one too
Because I
well.
feel like that was their best work when it came
Without the
to
narration?
yeah, when it came to
You're right.
knowing what the Pokemon
Mhm.
was feeling. I tell you, Will, I was crying the entire episode.
Yes.
I was like, "Oh my god, they're not gonna do this, are they?" Oh, but yeah, it was just one of those moments.
hmm
You give credit to the voice actors as well because they have
Right.
to convey so much emotion with just sound effect.
Yeah. With very
I mean,
limited vocabulary.
and then the way uh, animators draw expression.
hmm
Um, yeah, they definitely excel when it comes to those type of things.
Yeah.
Just like in the Chimchar episode when Chimchar's talking to Meowth,
hmm
having that heart to heart, or Chimchar's reminiscing about the way he was treated with Paul. It's experiencing wait, it's
Right.
different than what I've been going through.
Exactly.
Or Cackney's determination, when Bieber was lazy, but then gets kind of upset at that the Pokemon are doing the work, but they're doing it the
hmm
wrong way. So yeah, they're
Yeah.
definitely good at showing those kind of emotions.
Right. And here we get an emotional moment between Luxray and Marble once they find each other underground, and Pikachu and Ash immediately embrace, and there's a slight hesitation for Marble until she just runs up and hugs Luxray.
Yeah,
And
and she's
it's
teary eyed.
yeah, and they're both blushing, and it's super
Yeah,
cute.
she's like, Luxray, you want to be my friend?
Yeah.
And Luxray's just like, really? Yeah, that was a cute moment, and it gets ruined by the
Right.
tunnel finally being broken. So we see
Right.
Team Rocket.
Yeah, they're about to die, and then Luxray finds the switch to stop the walls from closing in on them. And then Team Rocket shows up. They have a battle. Pikachu shocks them, and then Luxray kind of absorbs some of the electricity. So Brock's like, "Hey, maybe you can use electric moves right now." Um,
Yeah.
and they use a charge beam, and it's fine. Um, Team Rocket gets blasted off. And then we come outside and they realize that the old charm got moved to a different safe that Team Rocket has. And Matthew's like, "Oh yeah, this is going to be hard to unlock." And he's like, Marble's like, "No, it's okay." And Luxray just uses Thunderfang on the box and it's able to open it. So I guess it was an electronic box.
I'm assuming it had like a magnet, I guess.
Oh, maybe. But
But
go ahead.
what did you think about that? Like it absorbs the electricity and all of a sudden it knows two electric type attacks?
Well, the thing is, it knows the moves because it clearly Marble wasn't trying to teach it the moves; it was just trying to
Oh,
use them.
that's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah, the issue was just like it couldn't get the
Right.
power for some reason, and this is such a weird way to resolve that. That they're like, oh, it needs to like absorb some electricity from Pikachu to be able to use that move. But now I'm like, wait, does that mean it still has the problem? Does it still need to rely on external electricity to be able to use its electric type moves?
Yeah, that's what I was left thinking too. Like, is it gonna be able to do it after that, or
Hmm.
was it just like a spur of the moment, like give it its hero moment,
Yeah,
and
like
for it to do that? But then she makes it use charge beam again
uh-huh.
without any problem. Whereas, and I'm gonna keep going back because I just enjoy this episode. Cagnia only got beam charge once. Come on, if you're gonna throw
Oh
you're gonna throw
man.
logic out the window, do it every time, not just for specific moments.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Oh,
and,
that's
and
funny.
again, we don't get an explanation for it either.
Nope.
It's just like, hey, it became the power of friendship, I guess.
Well, that's the
Just
thing.
through its
Like,
vein,
they
send it.
specifically show how they're friends, and then Brock goes out of the way to explain, like, oh, maybe now we can use it because it got some electricity from Pikachu. But I'm like, no, but that doesn't explain why the electricity was like, why it can't do the moves because they're friends, so it can't be friendship.
Yeah, because we've had cases where like Pikachu's weak
Mm-hmm.
and they've used electricity to help it.
Yeah.
There's like the Spirit Tomb episode where what didn't really it wasn't weak, where it was just more like just telling you like do it into
Right.
the clouds so that it comes back to you
Mm-hmm.
even stronger. And we see like I think even Togedemaru has that specific ability where it can absorb the electricity and give it back
Yeah.
stronger. With this, it was just like jumps into it. All of a sudden, that's it. Like I guess it cured its dormant electric type cells or something.
Something.
Um,
It was
yeah,
not
that was
great.
yeah. I was like, okay, is it just like a one time thing? Like,
Right.
is it just gonna be able to use it this specific um moment, and then after that, it's gonna be accepting of itself
Mm-hmm.
because it now has Marble as a friend? But no, like without fail, it does it again.
Yeah. And this opens up the old charm, which Matthew's thankful for. And then Officer Jenny shows up, and
Mahogany Town.
yeah,
You
all the
got off
way
the
from
boat,
Mahogany Town.
out of the boat or the plane, drove
You're
from the
right?
airport to this specific city.
There's not even a city. It's like in the middle of nowhere.
Oh, yeah, in the middle of nowhere, and then Brock just like,
Yeah.
please, this was me the most uncomfortable I feel like Brock has ever made me feel.
Oh, really? Okay.
I feel like his reaction was like super unnecessary, like over the top.
I think it was because
Um,
he actually knows this Jenny.
at Jenny, yeah,
Um,
yeah,
yeah,
that's
they
probably why.
met all the way. They just okay. So I looked it up. This is okay. This is where it comes together. Are you ready? Have you seen the episode where this Jenny first appeared?
Yeah, but it's been so long
Okay.
that I'm not gonna remember it.
So this Jenny is from an episode called An Exciting Adventure.
Okay.
And this is an episode where they are just going through the Johto region, and at a Pokemon Center that they're staying at one night, the egg that Ash is carrying, which is Phanpy's egg, disappears.
Johto? You mean
Yeah.
Hoenn, right?
No, in Johto. Mahogany is in Johto.
Doesn't Ash get Phanpy in the Battle Frontier?
No, he gets it in Johto as an egg, and he hatches it. He even uses it, but then when he goes to Hoenn, he leaves it at Professor Oak's Professor Oak's laboratory until coming back for Battle Frontier and gets Phanpy back in his party.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
crazy! Like in my head, like it was always the Battle Frontier.
Yeah, and that's because he doesn't get Phanpy until the last two badges of Johto.
Yeah, because I do remember him having it in like that case.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess in my mind, because he used Phanpy more in the Battle Frontier, like
Yes,
just
he used
convinced
it way
me that
more.
he got it in the Battle Frontier.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
Yeah,
probably
and I
why.
can
Because
totally see that because like he barely has time to use it in Johto before the season ends. So I'm glad they brought it back for Battle Frontier for sure.
yeah, it was definitely like one of his I guess you could say like his ace Pokemon that he used a lot.
Yeah, it
I
like
can't complain.
evolved and
Yeah,
everything.
like yeah, I won't. I can't complain because I love Phanpy and I'm fan.
Huh. Same.
Okay, so he made it all the way. Oh, that's right, because Mahogany is Johto City. Jeez, my brain is like
yeah,
so scrambled today.
no worries. Like the Johto cities can be a mess because they're very bare bones, especially in the anime. But this is where they call Officer Jenny, and Jenny acts exactly like Marble does, where she goes and they
Mm.
find clues. Misty and Brock and Ash all like come to conclusions, and then she goes, "That's what I was going to say," and then she arrests people until they're like, "Wait, you forgot this clue," and they're like, "Oh no, that you're right. I was going to say that."
Oh, you see, yeah, it's ringing a bell now. That's really
Mhm.
cool that they
Yeah.
actually did continuity, but yet Ash is still the same age. Oh,
um well, the
that's
funny thing
crazy.
about
That's really cool.
yeah, and that's the connection that this episode is trying to make, which is like cool, but also such a stretch. Like out of all the things to connect, it's this location in Sinnoh to this episode in the Johto region.
Do you think Brock put two and two together when he saw the way Marble acted, and then they're saying she
That
was
is
a
literally the
student?
only explanation. Yeah.
Right, that's like the only. That's for him to know that specific Jenny, that specific
Mm-hmm.
town, the Johto region,
Yeah.
not Sinnoh,
Mm-hmm.
Johto region. It's just like
It's a
really
lot.
creepy. Yeah.
Yeah, and like he earlier in the season he recognizes the Officer Jenny from Viridian City. Because she shows up at the museum when the lustrous orb disappears.
Yeah. I think this is probably my head making it up again, but there's a specific episode where what kind of tells how he can tell them apart, right?
Yeah, he at some points he's like said like, oh, they have like a slightly different hair or like
Yeah. Joke.
minuscule details. So in the last episode, you know how they said they were at Mount Cornet?
Hmm?
This is between Hearthome and Solaceon Town. Mount Cornet is not on this side at all. It's actually on the west side of Hearthome City. So that was one of the errors there. And I thought this episode was also continuing that trend and just putting like in-game locations in different spots, but that doesn't seem to be the case. Because And there's something called the Trophy Garden, which is located at the Backlot Mansion. And that is also on another route that's next to Hearthome City. So I assume that the anime just kind of moved both of these places in between these two routes. But it looks like the only one that actually had an error was the Mount Cornet one, but this one actually seems to be an original location. But the item, the old charm, is from the game, but it has no business being here because you know who gives you the old charm in the games? If you had to take a guess.
Your mom.
No, good guess.
Professor.
Mm-mm. Got one more?
Daycare.
No, it's actually Cynthia.
Oh.
So she will give you this charm later in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And the only purpose is that you have to deliver it to her grandmother when you get to this town. When you give it to her grandmother, she gives you the HM for Surf.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, that's literally the only purpose. That's why I'm like, I know what this is, but I don't know what it does. But it's just to kind of progress the story.
Oh, you know why I thought I saw it?
Uh-huh.
Because me, the designer reminded me of Claw.
Yes, it does look like that a bit.
Yeah, that's why I was like, I know I've seen this before.
Definitely, yeah.
Okay.
But that's the other connection that this place kind of tries to put together. I really was certain this was also the Backlot Mansion with the Trophy Garden, but I just looked it up and it seems like that's actually going to show up in a different episode. So my bad there. But the old charm is still something that is the relationship to the game from this episode. But yeah, that's pretty much it here. So what would you rate Luxray Vision?
I'm gonna give it 6.5, 6.5.
Okay.
I did enjoy it more in the Japanese version because didn't seem as arrogant.
Yeah.
I do like her catchphrase, like, "Oh, I don't know who spilled the beans, but they spilled them." Oh, and she's like whipping the.
Oh man.
That was weird. Oh, and then that little like dig, like where Ash is like, "Yep, she's definitely humble." Overall, it was pretty enjoyable episode. I feel like season 2 for me so far, they've been giving me like nonstop good episodes.
I'll have to agree
1
with you.
all the way to episode 7. I've enjoyed each and every one of those episodes.
Yeah, like even though these two episodes are probably my least favorite from the bunch, I feel like the character and the situations are pretty unique and hard to classify as just filler because they do like a lot of fun stuff in here that in some ways is new and refreshing, even though they really don't develop the characters at all, like our main characters. I think they're just very unique watches for people who've been watching the anime even for a long time. But the setup and all these weird connections and timeline for this episode do bring it down for me. I kind of wish they had like focused on fewer details because we literally talked for a few minutes both at the beginning and end about Luxray's electric powers and how there's still zero explanation of what happened there. So I would probably give this episode a 5.5 out of 10.
Yeah, and I don't know if you feel the same, but do you feel like the animation has gone down a bit?
I think it was noticeable for me in the Cacnea episode, But I feel like for
Yeah.
these two, it was still pretty good.
Yeah, because that episode, like, there was a lot of scenes where they looked flat. Like the
Yeah.
characters in the background looked super flat. All of them were like cross-eyed. Pikachu had like big pupils. And I think it's understandable because animes studios technically, I mean not technically, studios have this thing where when you want budget on a specific quality of animation, they'll cut down on other episodes. The quality of animation, because this is the season that introduces like that background, that 3D background when we get to future battles. I feel like they cut down the budget so that they'd have enough budget to those backgrounds because we get one of those backgrounds when Pikachu is on top of Luxray when I think they do their final attack.
Yeah.
Rocket. So yeah, it was noticeable the first couple of episodes.
Right. And like even in this episode, there's so many things with the walls moving that were 3D and did make it a little higher quality. But also like the whole underground thing was completely out of left field. So I don't feel like that was a huge determining factor for why they spent money on this episode for that.
Yeah.
I mean, it did improve it slightly because of the visuals there. Though I won't say it's the strongest. It might be more related to a future episode actually, which has similar effects. So maybe they're just testing it here to see if it works, but we'll see if that comes up in that next discussion. But this is pretty much it for Sights on Sinnoh episode 37. Manny, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, season 2. We're here now, season 2. In the Sights on Sinnoh headquarters, which is in a warehouse located in an unknown location that Will got us.
Yes. Secret facility,
really.
underground
Yeah,
of a mansion.
Secret facility underground where there's lots of booby traps.
Yes.
For us.
Don't get close. You might not make it out alive.
Yep, we cannot start off season 2, or at least for me, without poem Professor Oak.
Yes. What is that poem, Manny?
Well, I thought since we had 2 episodes, we'd do one for each of the Pokemon of the week. Those episodes, Probopass and Luxray.
Okay.
So we'll start off with Probopass because it was the first one. Professor Oak wrote, Probopass. If you want to evolve one, go to Mount Coronet.
Oh my god.
So, Will, if you want to evolve, go to Mount Coronet.
All right.
But that's not all. We have the second one.
Okay.
More Words of Wisdom by Professor Oak. It goes, grinning when it finds lost items. That is Luxray.
Okay. I think the second one is much stronger.
Yeah. There you go. Poems by Professor Oak. Don't know. He considers himself a poet.
Yes.
Don is a fan of him.
A Pokemon poet, to be specific.
Yes. Yeah. And Don is a fan, so I guess we'll give him that moral victory. Yeah, season 2, man. That's crazy. We're already here.
Yes, and question of the week that I'd like to propose to you, even though we'll see as the season continues, because there's actually kind of likely. Are there any actors from other shows that you'd like to see cameo as new trainers, just like for the week, the same way that Alan was? Actors from different animes.
Ooh. There's definitely a lot because I have this tendency of listening to voice actors to see if I know who they are, and I do it as well, like yeah, sub as well. It just when I hear a voice actor, it gives me like a more found respect for them. Like for example, Japanese voice actor for Overhaul voices a couple of characters in other animes that I've watched, and I hear that voice actor, that certain character becomes my favorite character of the show because I just like the voice, the tone that actor brings. So because I've brought in a couple of 4Kids English voice actors. I don't know their names specifically, but
Sure. Is it just a character?
yeah, it would be cool if they brought back Brock, his original voice actor.
Oh, that'd be interesting. Yeah.
Because he voiced James, but he also voices Kaiba in Yu-Gi-Oh. A bunch of other,
Ooh, it would
a
be
bunch
really
of other.
cool if Brock's voice actor voices a certain gym leader that we'll see later on.
Yeah, oh, you know what? Oh man, I'm definitely excited because episode 76 is bringing back character that we haven't met yet. Don't know if we'll meet him in this season, but I'll give you a clue. He reminds me of fourth Hokage.
Oh, I know who it is. I don't know who it is you just mentioned, but I saw an article.
Yeah, so I'm curious because this is also my first time watching Diamond and Pearl in Japanese. I'm curious to see. This is just me wishfully thinking because they look similar. If the Japanese voice actor for Minato also voices this character, for me that'd be like a fan moment because the Japanese voice actor for Minato voices the Wizard King from Black Hole Over.
Wait, really?
Yeah, that
Weird.
instantly makes me a fan, and it was funny because there's an episode that the Wizard King like shows off his magic. When he does it, I screamed out Rasengan. And it would like that day after I found out that that they share the same voice actors. I was like, oh, that's so cool. So yeah.
And just for people who don't know, Minato is from Naruto, correct?
Yes. Minato Namikaze from Naruto. More Naruto Shippuden because that's where he comes out more.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because like in Naruto, they don't really tell you who he is. They just show you who he is. Whereas in Naruto Shippuden, they kind of introduce like his backstory and all that.
Got it.
So yeah, that was the first time I was introduced to this character that I want to see. So for the Japanese version, I'm hoping that these two characters, Minato and this specific character, that I'm not gonna name just because we haven't met this character yet, and I don't really want to spoil it for Brady and Karina who haven't seen the series as well. But going back, yeah, Brock's original actor, I would love to hear. I don't know if you know him, Johnny Young Bosch.
I don't think so.
Did you ever watch Mighty Morphin Power Rangers?
Yes. Oh, no, not really.
Okay.
I watched later seasons.
Have you seen Bleach in English?
No, I've not watched Bleach or Naruto.
Okay. Have you seen Tower of God?
No.
No. Well, come on.
I really like you down here. Look, what I was gonna say for the question of the week is, I know there's been a past episode in another season where Sonic's voice actor voiced someone.
Yeah.
So I would like to see Knuckles voice a character in the anime.
Well, he did.
In the show itself?
It's the engineer.
But that was Knuckles?
Yeah. This is the same actor that voices Yugi.
Well,
he's not as
oh, I see it now. Yeah.
He's not using that much of the raspiness.
Okay. What about Amy?
because Sonic X was also under 4Kids.
Right. What about Amy?
I'm sure she was there during the 4Kids run.
Yeah. Well, I would want her for this one. It's funny though that Big Knuckles he's here. He also voices a character in one of the Pokemon movies, but that's not until way later on.
Okay.
And if you haven't already listened to this is likely out by the time already that you're hearing this episode. But we did do a review of we are going to be having a review up of the first movie, Rise of Darkrai, with Mannie and a special guest. So stay tuned for that episode.
Definitely looking forward to that after episode 74 and 75 of Journeys.
Yes, it'll be interesting for sure.
Can't wait for the American viewers to watch those 2 episodes because the exposition that they gave on Darkrai and Selly is just, man, it's so good.
Yeah, okay.
It's so good. Like, oh, it's amazing. Like I personally didn't know that those 2 were like connected.
Oh, interesting.
But this episode, it gives you the reasoning as to why.
Yeah.
Those 2 episodes, and that's all I'll say. Like, I'm very excited, like, to see the reactions of the viewers. I've seen, like JM react to the Journeys series. I'll definitely be looking forward to like hearing his thoughts and your thoughts as well when episodes 74 and 75 air, which will probably be like a while because next season doesn't come out till September, right? For Netflix?
I don't think so. Oh, I'm not sure actually.
I think I remember they said like it would come out in September, so that's I think like episode 50 and forward. It probably would be like a good while until the American audience gets to those 2.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm really looking forward to watching the movie. I haven't decided yet if I'll watch both versions of the dub and the sub.
Yeah, so just look forward to that. It's gonna be interesting for sure, as we're gonna have more context definitely on what's going on in the show. But that is something for you guys to look forward to if you haven't already checked it out. So once again, Mannie, thank you so much for coming on for this week's Sights on Sinnoh and sharing those lovely Professor Oak poems with us.
Enjoy them while they last because he changes up the format in a couple of episodes.
All right. Well, good to know. And if you want to see all of our episodes so far, feel free to go through the channel, like and subscribe, all that good stuff. And we will catch you guys next time as we get into 2 very plot-heavy episodes. So those will be interesting too. And I've been Will.
Mannie.
And we will see you in Sinnoh. Have a good one.
And for Adventure Diamond and Pearl, we can save the world.
Oh, man. DMCA.
Oh, that's right.